Hello, everyone. So just for some who are new here, this meeting is being recorded as we speak on YouTube and will be available for viewing if anybody would like to revisit some of the discussion. Then you can go on my YouTube page and you will find this this recording, the recording of this meeting. So in this meeting, you're welcome to pose whatever questions you have. Any questions are welcome. We can look at them together. I do not lecture about non-duality at Advaita, but as we are discussing things together, there will be some clarity, hopefully. Otherwise, we just keep probing until we have some clarity. So it's just a couple of words about satsang, and one could say these are also words about life. That satsang is invisible. Life is invisible. What you perceive, what you experience, is only a small facet, a small aspect, a limited aspect, our infinite experience. What we truly are is invisible. We are not what you perceive. Whatever you perceive does not define you. So satsang is a recollection of our true nature, a conversation and a meeting in presence around our true nature, not around our belief systems, not around our knowledge or our learning. So there's a freshness in being together. And the freshness of being together is the freshness that we bring to the meeting, which the freshness that we bring to our life in every moment that we live can be a fresh moment. And of course, it can also be a rehash of the past and memories and stories and hopes and regrets and all of that. Hopefully, we have lived enough to realize that it's very lovely to be living as presence, as the freshness of being. And we are here together to explore together probably an easier way for us to live as that presence, to live as the self. So your questions are welcome. There is one question that I wanted to go through that is of interest to me, but I will go through that at some point in time when there is a little space for that. So welcome to satsang. The heart of satsang is stillness, is peace, causeless peace. Our true nature is that. What we truly are is this peace. Sometimes referred to as Satchitananda, the aware presence, universal, impersonal, aware presence. Our experience as that transparency of being evades us as we live in our ideas about how we should be, how others are, what happened to us yesterday, hopes about what we would like for us to happen tomorrow. All sorts of internal conversation and judgments and about ourselves and others. And as a result of this type of mind activity, the peace of our true nature, the transparency of being, is temporarily veiled, and we find ourselves prey to the thoughts and the feelings that are constantly being stirred up. But as soon as you sit quietly and you ask yourself, what am I truly? And you don't invite the mind to answer this question, because the mind only answers from the past. It cannot speak from any other place but the past. So when you contemplate the question, what am I truly? What is the reality of my experience, this very moment? And you don't invite the mind to bring up the past. You find yourself in the silence. In a silence that is vibrating with the question, that is full of the question, what am I? The mind is still, and the question just vibrates as this pure presence. Because the question arises from presence, from this moment of interest. And there is no other moment but this moment of presence. So the answer never comes to you later, because there is no such a thing as later. So the answer to your question is present right now. Because there is no tomorrow. Tomorrow is this very moment right now. Not a moment in time. A moment in awareness. But awareness is not made out of moments. Thought is made out of moments, but awareness is seamless. So the answer to what am I cannot be an answer in time. It has to be the timeless answer. And in your experience, what is timeless is awareness. So the first understanding in Advaita is that the what am I refers to I as awareness. Not a personal I, but an I that is beyond the mind, beyond thought, within which mind may appear, but it does not appear. This is why we refer to the self as the infinite invisible. So anyways, I said a few minutes ago that I will not be talking about Advaita, so I welcome your questions. Hello, Nanda. Nanda, you write, much appreciated when you share an inspirational message. Okay.
So I have a question which is a little bit abstract, but I think it it's an okay question. There's something that I read from Ken Wilber a while ago, and it was that there's different levels on which we can have maturity or not. It could be as a being, and for example, an example came to me that there are these Babas in India who sit on a rock and stare at the sun with their eyes wide open, but they've had some kind of inner experience, maybe of divinity or something, and then they don't have, but on all these different levels, they're not very mature. They don't know how to have relationship with the world. They don't know how to have a livelihood, et cetera, et cetera. Some window opened, and and I just wonder about so in my own life, I feel like I may have different maturity levels in different major areas of being a human being, which because I had some very deep transcendental experiences early in life, and yet I've still been working on relationship things and still working on livelihood things, for example. I guess that's...
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the levels of maturity that you are referring to, Ananda, apply to the body-mind.
Yes.
They pertain to the person. And they are valid levels of maturity at that level. So you could have levels of maturity, using that term maturity, in many different areas, in the arts, in conversation, in how you deal with work situations, etc. or you mentioned some of the sadhus CDs, and you can also develop levels of, you can call, skills or maturity in those areas. Yes, but that has nothing to do with Advaita. It has nothing to do with self-knowledge, self-knowingness.
Well, the link that I was thinking I was seeing is that talk about having a realization of God, basically, to use those words, and then living it. How does consciousness live? Kind of like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that, from that platform, then, or that, from that perspective, then these other issues seem to.
Yes. Consciousness is the infinite invisible. It's the reality that in this very moment is. It is beingness awareness, beingness awareness. It's not male or female, it's not tall or short. It's colorless, formless. It's not in the realm of phenomena. But yet that's the reality. That is, in the mind we have a major flaw in our understanding. We believe reality to be a physical form. And it's abhorrent to the mind, for the mind to conceive, what are you talking about, an infinite invisible reality? No, reality, talk to me about a star, talk to me about a tree, talk to me about something physical. That's an appearance.
Yes.
But in our contemplation, we realize that appearances they refer to the perceiver. They refer to their knowingness. Any object that is known refers to its knowingness. So the revelation of the self, the awakening to the self, is awakening to the I am that is formless, that is borderless, that is, you can refer to it as because it has no borders, it is infinite, it has no constraints, there is no constraints to consciousness, so it's free. We use the terms freedom, beauty, love, infinity, eternity, formlessness, to refer to consciousness. So the question is, how do we live as in this waking dream? How do we live according to consciousness? You know, until consciousness is living itself, we do our best in living according to our understanding of consciousness, because we have an understanding that we arrive to in our contemplation. We realize that for example, consciousness doesn't prefer A over B. There isn't more consciousness towards one side or towards the other. It has no preferences. It's not seeking. It's not seeking anything. It's not lacking anything. It is not trying to improve itself. It's not hoping to become a better consciousness tomorrow. It is not regretting what sort of consciousness it was yesterday. So you live as that. You live as pure presence. And consciousness does not exist in time. In other words, it doesn't start at time 0 and then ends at time 5,000. It's not that way. It does not exist in time. So therefore, it is eternal. What does not exist in time is beyond time, is eternal. So how do you live as the eternal self? If you look at how we live as a human being, we're thinking about tomorrow, worrying about tomorrow, regretting yesterday. So when you realize that is not the according to your understanding. First, you have to come to that understanding. then whenever you observe yourself living in effort, in trying, in thinking about yourself tomorrow, in regretting yesterday, in comparing yourself to this person and hoping that that other person won't bother you, when you're living in that mental realm of me and others, you press the pause button. You say, wait a minute, what's going on here? This is the old download. There's an old download that's living through you. You see, because it's there, it's operating, but it's operating in incognito. But as soon as it is perceived, it stops to operate because you see it. You know, you see, wait a minute, here I am. I'm going back to my regret and my hope and my trying, and I need to find a strategy, and worrying and tossing and turning at night. That's when you realize that you are in your old download. And whenever you notice the old download, you pause. You pause. You sit for a minute and you contemplate. What am I truly? Am I this person that I'm imagining myself to be? Am I this bundle of thoughts and sensations? Am I this bundle of feelings? Or is this just appearing to me like the weather appears?
Well, to be a little more specific, sometimes watching someone else may hurt their feelings, or I mean, they may be, you know, have a sadness, and yet it's true for me. It's what's happening. I share something, and then I think
you're talking about getting your feelings hurt. I don't know if I heard you correctly. You're saying
no, I'm afraid of hurting someone else's feelings.
Oh, okay.
I'm afraid of hurting someone's feelings. So I think, well, what does it's a little loop where I go, well, this isn't kind. This isn't kind, and yet,
yes,
from a more expanded perspective, it's just what's happening.
Right.
And so the kindness throws me, the fear that I'm not being kind throws me back into
no. Consciousness doesn't
my story.
It doesn't do kind and unkind. That's the mind. That's the mind. Okay, all this kind, more kind, less kind, kinder. Was I kind? You know, should I be kind? All that is the mind.
Should I buffer what I have to say so that there's less reaction and that hurts someone?
No. You never hurt anyone. You never hurt anyone. Do you get that?
I would have to be hurtable in order to be afraid of hurting.
Well, let's look at it. Let's say that somebody insults you, says, "Oh, you are such and such and such and such," and you feel hurt. Yes. Let's imagine. I know you're not maybe experiencing that, but we can recollect. Let's say we imagine that.
I can imagine that.
Yes. Okay. So I feel hurt. Okay. Now let's go there. We ask ourselves because it makes sense to ask. What is it that's getting hurt? Yes. What gets hurt?
Tender self-image.
Huh?
Tender self-image.
You get hurt. Yes, your image gets hurt. An image doesn't get hurt. An image, no, an image doesn't get hurt. A thought doesn't get hurt. What gets hurt? Because I mean, we're not going to deny. Okay, hey, we're not going to do bypassing. But it's a good question. I'm feeling hurt, right? Something must be getting hurt. So what is it that's being hurt? I'm feeling. I am hurt, right? You say, okay. So we say, okay. Then I'm looking for myself. I'm not looking for somebody else because I cannot look for somebody else. I look for myself. I say, okay, I'm getting hurt. So then I ask myself, okay, what is this I? Where is this I? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just where is it? What is it? So let's look at this right now. What is this I? Let's imagine that we're getting hurt. And then I say, okay, I'm feeling hurt. What is this I that's feeling hurt? Where is it?
If you don't answer, it's more or less in a dream. Hearing?
A dream. In the dream, you have images and thoughts. Images and thoughts don't get hurt. No, my question is, where is this I, or what is this I that gets hurt?
Okay, I would say that my most authentic answer at this point is that it's hurt, but nothing actually does get hurt.
Yeah, you don't find. You don't find this I that gets hurt.
Because to buy into the hurt requires putting a pause on the truth.
No, I'm not going there. I'm just staying with this very simple. I'm feeling hurt. Somebody insulted me. I'm feeling hurt. No problem. Okay, no denying. So then I ask myself, okay, what is that's being hurt? And I say, I. And then I say, okay, where is this? What is this I that's being hurt? Where is it? What is it? I cannot find it.
Right.
So how if I cannot find it, then the hurt, what is it that's carrying the hurt? I mean, what is it that's being hurt? You follow? Is on what is it what is the hurt carrier? What is it that's carrying the hurt? If the I that is hurt is not there, I can't find it. So then I say, okay, well, maybe somebody can insult me, and I just, because now I know there is, I haven't found, and I'm not saying do it quickly. You can do it 100 times. Please do it 100 times, because you have to be convinced, you know, not me convincing you. You have to be convinced within your own self. Convince me. You have to come to clarity within your own self. This is a charade. Don't use somebody else's words for it. Find out for yourself.
No, I see it. Yes. I see that as soon as that's done, then I can also perceive where the other person's coming from just so much more clearly. It's not,
because if,
you know what I mean?
If there is no I to get hurt here, then there is no I to get hurt there. It's all. If somebody says, "Oh, you hurt my feeling," they have to do their own contemplation. I mean, I'm not going to go out and think of malicious ways in which I can irritate people. No. At the same time, I'm going to express myself.
Maggie, there's a problem with the sound. There's a problem with the sound. It's very staticky when you're talking. I don't know what it is. Better now. It's better. I don't know why.
All right, maybe. All right, let me see. Maybe I will speak a little slower.
Try to repeat what you were just saying.
Yes. I was saying that if I am not going to go out of my way to create situations that will push people's buttons, but at the same time, I'm not going to live with this concern about, oh my goodness, whose feelings am I hurting? Because it will be, you will find that most people are not doing any inquiry, and their feelings are like, they get hurt if you don't smile at them, you know, in the right way, or if you forget to say hello or something, they get who knows. I wouldn't,
if your shopping cart is rolling towards the
yes. The contemplation is within myself, of myself. I am contemplating, what am I truly? Don't worry so much about hurting other people's feelings, because as you are contemplating the self, you become more and more aware that the other is none other but yourself. It's just one consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
We are all like the light bulbs on the same string, the same circuit.
Mm.
So you realize that at the body-mind level, we're all the same. We're all the same. We're all the same consciousness. So you will find yourself naturally being, kind, not going out of your way to be kind. No, just effortlessly being kind and not irritating and not irritable. Both not irritating and not irritable. But these are consequences of your contemplation.
Right.
This is not where your contemplation needs to go. You follow? That is not where your contemplation needs to focus on.
Right. No, it's a byway that I think you're just pointing out a byway that you can say,
Yes.
I don't need that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. A little more, something comes up to my mind 2 or 3 times while we're talking, is that when I know that I'm not being totally authentic about the situation, so I think no one to hurt, and it's a one consciousness. If I feel squeamish about doing anything that causes a person to have.
How do you know? How do you know people's reactions? I mean, are these people that you are in relationship with? You know them quite well. Because if you are with people that you know quite well, then by now you should know how to be with them in a way that works.
Right.
But if there are people that you don't know, then you don't know. You may say something and they'll get their feelings hurt, and you say, geez, sorry, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings, and that's it. If they want to play the oh goodness, you hurt my feelings, bad you, well, that's their game. I
no,
wouldn't buy into it,
it's harder.
I would. Huh?
Yeah.
I would apologize.
I think that's. I think that this is one very good reason to have intimate, people in my life that are on the same wavelength as far as the inquiry, basically, because then you can be totally honest, and it comes to the same.
You don't decide who comes
place.
in your life. All that is decided for you.
Really?
Yes. You think you decide, but you don't decide. All your thoughts and all what appears to you is downloaded to you. It's all decided to you. The thoughts arise to you. You don't think your thoughts. They arise to you. You perceive your thoughts, but you don't think them. You perceive them. And you can discriminate between whether you're going to buy into them or not, whether you're going to follow them or not. That option you have.
I see. That's beautiful. That's a beautiful distinction. Yeah. That's exactly how it feels. Thoughts arise, and that doesn't sound like a good idea, or that,
right?
Or yes.
Mm-hmm. It's an important discrimination. If you to develop the viveka, the discrimination is very important in the spiritual inquiry.
Right.
What to follow and what to let go.
Yes.
But it's mostly about letting go. The only thing that you follow is your love for truth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
The rest is about letting go.
Mm-hmm. Very, very good.
Okay, Ananda.
Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Nice talking to you, Randa. Hello, Randa. Randa, you're right. Every perception is new. The continuity is that of awareness. What is it that projects the person and the story? Yes, Randa, every perception is new. The continuity is that of awareness, correct. What is it that projects the person and the story is the mind. The mind is a person and stories. Mind is conceptual realm. So as a baby, there is no very non-existent concepts, and then the conceptual world is learned, and there are some tendencies towards certain directions, maybe towards the arts, towards scientific thinking, etc. There are tendencies. So the entire conceptual world, and then there is experiential, what we are living and what we are exposed to, what we perceive, and all what is downloaded. There is all sorts of download. Family downloads, religious downloads, educational downloads, cultural downloads. All of that is the mind structure, what we refer to as the mind. So the person and the story is mind. When you start to contemplate the reality of your experience, you realize that mind is an appearance. It does not have a permanency. There is no permanency to it. It is a series of thoughts and images and memories and feelings and sensations. And you realize that there is that is not mind. The I am, the I, the perceiver in chief, the reality of perception is beyond the perception. You realize that the permanent is not in the realm of appearances. And you will be able to make a distinction between mind and self. That is an important distinction to be able to make. So yes, Randa, you're right. So you discriminate the mind from awareness. Yes, the ability to discriminate between mind and awareness, presence, beingness is a crucial discrimination in your inquiry, because the mind has a tendency, has a magnetic quality to it, where it sort of pulls you into its content, and it keeps branching out. So when you are drawn into the mind, you are going in the infinite directions. But the key thing about the magnetic power of the mind is the belief that there is something really important out there. There is something, I need to pay attention to the mind or else. That belief that there is something at stake is the linchpin that keeps you attached and connected and pursuing and engulfed in the mind. As soon as that linchpin is removed, you find the mind to appear and disappear. It does not pull you. Like the locomotive of the train, the locomotive of the train has a link pin and is attached to the wagons of the train. When you remove the link pin that connects the locomotive to the wagons, The locomotive can go, but the wagons don't go. So it's a little bit that way. The linchpin is that there is something at stake. So the question is something at stake for whom? The thought may arise, oh, if I don't do this and that, something bad will happen to me tomorrow. Or if I don't do this and that, I will not get, I will not be happy tomorrow. So there's something at stake for me. So it's for whom? For me. I have to listen to what the mind is saying, or else something bad is going to happen to me. So then I ask myself, well, okay, I am not going to play the denial game. So let me look, because this is very real. I can feel it. Something bad may happen to me. Then I ask myself, what is this me right now? I say, okay, I say, you are here, me, come up, let's meet. But when I tell the me, when I tell the I, when I tell the person to come, nobody comes. So if nobody comes, then danger for whom? The question would be like, who is in danger? You have to conduct this investigation for yourself. Usually when we ask ourselves the question, okay, is the threat, there is a sense of threat for whom? Usually we say for me, there is a sense of threat for me. We say, me, what is this me? We cannot find it. But in many cases, we confuse the me with the body. We say, oh, me, the body. Right? So when we say me, the body, then we say, okay. So then I ask myself, well, let me meet this body. You see, I'm doing an inquiry within myself. Say, well, let me meet this body. So I say, body, where are you? And I look in my experience right now. So do it right now with me. We look right now. We say, body, where are you? And what do we find? We find a perception. We find perception. We also find bodily sensation, like the sensation of your feet on the ground, or the sensation of your back. So you find not only perception, but also sensation. And you also find thought, images of the body. But you don't actually find a body. You find thought, sensation, and perception. You don't find a body. Because thought is not a body, a perception is not a body, a sensation is not a body. They are thought, sensation, perception. Then I say, okay, well, let me go to the thought and find the body there. So I go to the thought. Where do I go? Nowhere. I say, let me go to the sensation. Maybe the body is in the sensation. I say, okay, let's go. So I go to the sensation. Where do we go? Nowhere. There's nowhere to go. So I say, well, wait a minute, then what is the reality of this body? I'm not going to deny it. What is its reality? There's something called the body somewhere. What is its reality? and you only find one reality: consciousness, the invisible self. So these are inquiries you need to conduct for yourself. So this video is being recorded. If you want, you can re-look at it again to get some recollection of this little exercise we're doing together. It's important that you conduct these inquiries within yourself, because we believe that there is a sense of threat to me, and then we confuse ourselves to be a body, me, a body. So we have to really inquire. When we inquire, the inquiry will lead us to consciousness. It does not lead you to anything that is in danger. And consciousness, then when you arrive to consciousness, consciousness is invisible presence, aware presence. How you cannot cut it, you cannot burn it, you cannot drown it. So this entire sense of lack and threat, there's something at risk, something at stake that we experience in our life, has no real basis, no real ground to stand off. It's an inherited download, an unhappy, pretty miserable inherited download. It's time for it to end. Randa, you're right. So you discriminate the mind from awareness. Is that done by questioning the reality of the thought and the story? Yes, Randa, right. Just as we did right now, in this inquiry, you follow that thread. That yes, you question the reality of the thought and the story. The reality of thought is consciousness. The reality of a story is just thoughts and images. It's consciousness, because without consciousness, what would a thought be? The problem is that we believe thought to be speaking like truth about consciousness, but thought doesn't know consciousness. Consciousness knows thought. It's one direction. It's not the other direction. Okay, you're welcome, Rhonda. Hello, Isaac. Isaac, you're right about the difficulty I find in communicating among us average people. In a vulnerable presence, it demands a constant effort. Yes. You know, we do a lot of projection in relationship. First, we have ideas about ourselves and we believe these ideas. And then we have images about ourselves and we believe these images. And then we have thoughts that pertain to what other people may be thinking about us. And we believe these thoughts. And then we have thoughts about images that others may be having about us. And we believe these thoughts about those possible images that people may be having about us. So it's pretty miserable. You are right, Isaac. Cut it out. What about just letting this go, man? I mean, really, this wanting to find happiness from others, wanting to get confirmation from others. How about getting confirmation from ourselves, from the self that I am? I am wholeness. I am whole and complete. You see, because we haven't yet really experienced our inherent inner peace, we seek it. We are seeking it from friends, from relationships, from at work. We're seeking it from our parents. From God knows where we're seeking it from various external sources. But all these external sources are also doing the same thing. They are also seeking the acceptance and the love and the fulfillment from somebody else. But if you look at your experience, Isaac, in your experience, when you are waiting for somebody to love you, you are reinforcing that there is some sort of lack within yourself. So we love ourselves, loving yes, the sound. Oh, okay. Tara telling me the sound is off, so let me know if any of you is having difficulty with the sound. Yes, is it? Anyways, I don't know right now what to do except maybe speak with a little bit more clarity. So I was talking about feeling vulnerable in the presence of others. What is it that feels vulnerable, Isaac, if not the image that you carry? Imagine that you are with another, but you're not carrying this image. You tell this image, okay, hey image, good enough, okay, I don't need you. I can just be this vulnerable self. No problem. I don't need to have this defense mechanism or this costume in order to be loved. And I may get or I may not, because I cannot control how other people are with me. You're not hearing me? No. Oh, okay. Let me. Okay, do you hear me better now? Ah, okay. So the problem maybe was, okay. Thank you. I could see the sign you were making, the sign. Okay. So, yes, it's better now?
I'm on YouTube, and it's not working there. It's like, it's echoing, and there's a lot of static.
Okay. Let me see.
Can the other people hear okay?
Okay, well, try it again, Tara. Let me see. I'm going to do a couple of things here. I'm muting everybody because sometimes people's mics will pick up. Okay, how is it, Tara? Is it a little bit better now? Yes, is it better?
You're perfect.
Okay. I have a feeling that maybe people's mics were picking. It's better. Okay. So I needed to mute the mics of here so that it doesn't pick up. But I'm not hearing the echo myself, so thank you for the feedback. So where were we, Isaac? So we're talking about being with others. So it's image. It's this image. When we have an image of ourselves, we Isaac, you're right. It's a big problem when you have to negotiate. Yeah, well, you don't. Why do you have to negotiate? Don't negotiate. Just be yourself. Express yourself. Of course, be yourself, meaning you're in a relationship, so there is a space for listening. In a relationship, listening space is very important. Not just to listen to within yourself what's arising within you, but you're also listening to the other simultaneously. So the listening space is sort of like a safe space where you can meet with the other, but you don't need the image, because the image is some sort of noise. It's like now you have to prop the image, you have to defend the image, you have to make sure that the others love your image, that they hopefully they will love it tomorrow again, you know. No. Consciousness doesn't care about any particular image. It loves all images. It loves everybody, you know, like God's love is infinite. God loves everybody, and God is eternal being. We all are the faces of God. And so it's all love, you know. And the judgment, you cannot stop it with others, but you can stop it within yourself. And I'm talking about self-judgment and, of course, judgment of others. When you stop it within yourself, it could be some sort of invitation. Maybe it's a silent invitation for the others to also enjoy being with you without feeling your judgment, you see. And maybe not, I don't know, but maybe their judgment will also ease, and you know what I mean? It all, you know, you bring the light. You bring God's light into your life and into everybody's life, not as a evangelist, no, but just by your love for truth and your love for honesty and sincerity and transparency and simplicity. You bring those qualities in your life. And the others, like at the bird feeder, the birds will come to feed at the bird feeder. When they come, who knows? Sometimes, you know, the birds have 5 or 6 birds at the bird feeder. Sometimes you look out, there's only one. And sometimes there is none. We don't know. But it doesn't matter. It's all happy. Don't compromise your freedom to any image of yourself or images that you imagine others are having of you. Maybe they are having images of you, but that's their business. It's their unhappiness, and hopefully they will drop it. They will follow your example. Hopefully. Yeah, step by step, you know. We do it a little at a time, as best we can. And it's not about failing or succeeding. You know, failure and success is so judgmental. We do it so much with ourselves. Like we are our worst bourreau, how do you say? Our worst... we're not very kind with ourselves. We're very tough with ourselves. We judge ourselves a lot.
My own worst critic.
Critic, yes. Yeah. We're tough. You know, don't need to do that. So what if we mess up? You know, big deal. You know, what? We're not trying to be in the Guinness Book of World Records. It's always a freshness of this moment. So in this moment, we can just be just pure presence. There's peace in presence. Presence is peace. It's God's gift. God is presence. God is peace. It's universal consciousness. We all are that. This borderless presence, this aware presence. This transparent presence. And we can rest as that, we can celebrate that, and we can celebrate that in life, you know, in being with friends and being in the world and being in the market and everything we do. It's not about being a hermit, you know.
You live in life and you celebrate in life and you apply in life the beauty and love of presence. You live it. It's a lived happiness, a lived freedom. Yes? Okay, Isaac, nice to see you. I wanted to just go over one question that I came upon. Was not addressed to me, but I think it's an important topic to bring up, so I will take a minute to talk about it. And I'm sure in other meetings, I will talk about it some more. So someone wrote, one of the things one comes up against in Advaita circles is the notion of awareness without objects, and that this is the condition in which we should ideally be hanging out on a permanent basis. In my own experience of day-to-day living, whether sitting quietly or engaged in whatever activity, no such state as awareness without objects has ever been experienced. The idea of awareness without objects makes no sense to me. I think this is an important question, and it's a little bit of a theoretical question, but nevertheless, it's an important question. That there is a belief that awareness is on and is exists as objects exists. There is awareness because there are objects. There is awareness because there are thoughts. There is awareness because there are trees. There is awareness because there are feelings. There is awareness because there is a human bodies. There is awareness because there are perceptions. So this gentleman is saying that awareness without objects is completely foreign to him. He has no idea what this is about. Now, it is true that an object cannot appear without awareness. An oak tree cannot appear without the knowingness of it, without awareness or consciousness of the tree. Similarly with a thought or a perception or a sensation. You cannot experience the sensation of your back against the chair without awareness of that sensation. Yes, that is true, that forms, what we refer to as forms, which is mind, depends on awareness. The question is, does awareness depend on the mind? Does awareness depend on objects? Now, in deep sleep, there are no thoughts. There are no perceptions. And there are no sensations. And yet, we know that we had a good night's sleep, that we had a good deep sleep. How do we know that? We know that because we were present in deep sleep. The body was not present. The thoughts were not present. Feelings were not present. But awareness, was present. There were no objects, and yet there was awareness, because how else would I know that this was really good night, sleep. Okay? This is an example of to poke a hole in this idea that this belief that awareness without objects, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not true. You know very well what I'm talking about because you experience it every day, every night. You haven't thought about it, but now you can think about it. You can realize, aha, wait a minute. There is some sense in what this guy is saying. It makes a little bit of sense. It's true that in deep sleep there is no world, body, mind. There is no body in deep sleep. There's no mind in deep sleep. But yet I am. Also, some of you have heard me say that, but it's always good to hear it again. Between thought A and thought B, thought A could be, today is a really beautiful day. Thought B could be, I have to take my car to the repair shop tomorrow. These are two thoughts. And they're not one thought. So there is between thought A and thought B a gap. Because if there was no gap between thought A and thought B, there would be one thought. Now when I say thought, I'm talking about our experience. We experience thought A and we experience thought B. But we also experience the gap between thought A and thought B. Thought A is an object, thought B is an object, but between thought A and thought B, there is no object. And yet I am. I don't disappear because a thought disappears. So you need to think about that. Think deeply about that. Because you know awareness without objects much more than you say. Now, this awareness without objects is what we refer to as I. What you refer to as I. But then you add the body, or you add the name I, Joe, I, Jane. I, this man, I, this woman. I, the mother, I, the father, I, the son, I, the daughter. You add. What if you don't add anything? Just I awareness. Because it's possible not to add. But in order not to add, you have to be interested in not adding. This is why we say Advaita, the main work of Advaita is of letting go. You remain as the reality of consciousness and you let go of everything else. So consciousness without objects is the I am. And consciousness with objects is I am Magdi, I am in the living room, blah, 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 blah. Okay? I think this is an important question, and I don't know if the person who wrote this will ever have a chance to listen to this video, but maybe they will. Ananda, you're right. I am quite familiar with awareness, clear and present without any object. It's a unique experience, and what is surprising is that I can talk about it, as nobody was there at the time. How does I awareness without additions register in a human mind? Okay, first of all, Ananda, you're right. What is surprising is that I can talk about it as nobody was there at the time. That is not true.
I was there.
You are there. Not you,
Yes.
Ananda, not you, body, mind, but I, consciousness is there. So consciousness can talk about consciousness day in and day out. Who else could talk about consciousness outside consciousness? Non-consciousness?
That's great.
Yeah.
As I was writing the question, you said that at the end of your talk, your response to the writer, to the questioner about the I, and I thought, oh, it's.
Yeah. So you're right towards the end of your question. How does I awareness without additions register in a human mind? It does not. The human mind does not register I awareness. The human mind dissolves in I awareness. So you could say that you could say that at the mind level, the way the mind registers I awareness is by dissolving into the peace.
So then when I'm speaking about such an experience, I call it an experience, I don't know what else to call it.
Yes.
Really, that in a way, that's consciousness speaking rather than the mind speaking.
Yes, the mind never truly speaks. But yes, yes, it is consciousness speaking, because only consciousness can speak about an experience of consciousness. The mind can only speak its thinking about consciousness.
Right.
So I think consciousness is great, consciousness is infinite, and so on, but they're not speaking from an experience. Only consciousness can speak experientially about consciousness, because only consciousness is consciousness and knows consciousness. When the mind becomes consciousness, it dies, it dissolves in consciousness, and then it speaks about consciousness, but it's no longer the mind speaking, it is consciousness speaking, because the mind has died and dissolved in consciousness. So it is consciousness that is speaking knowingly about consciousness. The mind can speak unknowingly about consciousness, and then it says all sorts of stuff. And if you go on all sorts of Facebook sites and so on, you will find so much of that. So much of that.
Just what the questioner was concerned about, that so many voices say, well, how can there be anything without how can there be anything without an object to make it known? Something like that.
How can there be consciousness without an object? Yes.
Right.
Well, we address
Thank you.
Address this question. Okay, Ananda. So if there are any questions. Okay, well, once again, thank you very much for your lovely company. Very beautiful to be with you. And we'll see you again next week, yeah? Okay. Be happy, be well. Thank you all. Very lovely.